I go, so what is that? And she said, we drill a hole in your head and we take these two lead wires and we put them into your brain and it gets down there and we're going to shock this into rhythm. It's a pacemaker for your brain. And I'm thinking that didn't sound like a whole lot of fun either.
This is HCRD.online. Raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. We're diving deep into humor, culture, and conversations that actually matter. No scripts, no BS. Let's go.
Welcome back, my friends. My name's Steve Niemeyer. This is HCRD.online. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you've been following along with my journey, we talk music, we talk radio, career, we talk prostate cancer. We kind of hit on some things that are happening in my world that I want to share with you, some funny stories of the past, and I got a lot of people that want to be involved in this, but something that has affected me for quite a while that I haven't talked about on this podcast, and that is Essential Tremors. And I don't know if you are familiar with essential tremors. People are familiar with Parkinson's, and when people have Parkinson's, they shake. And you've seen like Michael J. Fox, which is, having a very, very, very difficult time adjusting to his disease. And essential tremors, it is a common neurological disorder that causes rhythmic shaking. And it affects your hands. Usually in your dominant hand is where you're going to notice it first. It can be at both hands, it can be in just one, it could be your legs, it could be your head, it can be in your voice, or in a case like mine, I also have internal tremors, and it feels like you have a vibration plate in your chest, and it's that same frequency of vibration, but it's a little quicker than what's happening with my hands. And I have, shared this with family and some friends, and they go, well, what is this? How do you get it? How do you get rid of it? Well, here's the deal. How do you find out that you have essential tremors? Well, one thing is you're going to start doing this. Okay, your hands are going to shake, and like when you go to write something, you have this rhythmic shaking, and if you do this, it's going to keep that same rhythm, right? My other hand does it, but it's not as bad. But internally, you have this vibration going, and it's pretty much 24/7. And you think, well, okay, cool. There's things that are causing it, right? You need to stop things, or you need to take medicine. There's got to be something for it, right? Well, let me back you up with my story. And I've always had, when I got really nervous, my hands would shake a little bit. I'd feel that, slight vibration in there, and I go, it's nerves. Because that's what you would assume is your nerves are causing your hands to shake. If you know someone with essential tremors, you know the varying of degrees. Well, way back when, and this was 20 years ago, I was judging a cupcake contest at the Greenwood County Fair in Eureka, Kansas. And I was one of the judges, and it was, I was on the radio there. We had the radio station, so I was kind of a local celebrity, so to speak, in the town, and everybody knew me, funny stories and all of this stuff. Well, we had started joking about, hey, you know what, somebody needs to come up with bacon, because bacon is one of my favorite food groups. And we were talking about, hey, I wonder if somebody's going to do a bacon cupcake. So there was a panel of like 4 or 5 judges up there, and we were able to comment, back and forth, and hey, what do you think, and talk to the people. But anyhow, so we had this big group of people out in front of us, and we had all these different cupcakes that we were going to taste. Well, you don't just unwrap it and eat the whole thing because we had too many to eat. You just sample them. So you would take a knife and you would go and cut through the cupcake and just have a little taste of it and go, that's pretty good. And you could, have another bite if you needed to. But Well, the problem is my hands were shaking, and I was like cutting through this stuff, and I was going, wow. This little girl said, "Why are your hands shaking?" And when she said that, it amplified, and I could not stop this thing. The more I tried, the worse it got, and I realized, man, I've got a problem. It feels like low blood sugar. It feels like something bad is going to happen. And I didn't know what the heck it was. Well, I talked to a doctor, I don't know, probably 6 months later, and said, "Anything else, Steve? We never get you in here." And I said, "Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, my hand was shaking." And they go, "That's nothing to worry about. It's just probably nerves," and blew it off. Well, now we're going to fast forward about 10 years, and things are progressively getting worse. And this is what happens with essential tremors. It starts wherever it starts, and a lot of times it will start ramping up, and you'll have more issues, and you'll shake more. It'll move to different limbs, that type of thing. So how you get diagnosed with this is you have to go to a movement specialist, a neurological movement specialist person. They're going to sit down and they're going to not only monitor you, but put you through some tests and ask you lots of questions and find out where you're at on this essential tremors chart. And you're going to draw spirals, and they take it and you start going in a circle. And as you can tell, it depends. If I go fast, the circles get a little further away. If you slow down, they get a little closer. So what you want to do is you want to take this and go around in a little circle, and you draw this map. And I said, "This is ridiculous." And they said, "Wait a second, Steve. We have medicine that is going to help you." And so she prescribed this pill, and I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." I had a GP tell me, "Hey, take one of these. This is what they do." He said, "I think you have essential tremors." Well, I wanted a serious diagnosis, because when he gave me the medicines the first time, I thought that I was going to die. I didn't realize, it didn't say on the bottle. He didn't tell me, like the neurological people will tell you, start with 1/8 of a pill, and they're little, and then do that for a week, and then go up to 1/4, and you just increase it 1/8 of a pill until you get used to it. And I said, so what's going to happen is my body and my brain are going to get used to this pill that I thought was going to kill me. It'll get used to it, and this was going to be my new norm. And I said, I don't like this idea. And said, well, we need to do. So I tried this. This was the #1 medicine according to my movement specialist neurologist, and she said that, you have essential tremors, and I think this is gonna help you a little bit. So we went through this. I went back to see her, and she said it's not really improving. And I go, man, I feel terrible. I can't continue to take this. Every time I up it, it knocks me out. As far as I just feel so funky, I can't cope for hours. And I said, this is crazy, because days into this, and I start kind of getting used to it, then you take another one. Well, then I realized I'm a little foggy brained. I didn't like it. So we tried a couple different medications, but she said that the one is the one that is most effective for this and the easiest to deal with. And I said, what is it, really? And it is a pill that you take to stop people from having convulsions. And I'm all, wait a second, this doesn't sound like something I need to be taking, right? So I didn't know, did a little more research, and a lot of people have problems with this. Well, when you have problems, it can lead to other things, and I didn't need more things, right? So I talked to her, and she said, well, what we're going to have to do is, DBS, you're a perfect candidate for deep brain stimulation. And I go, so what is that? And she said, we drill a hole in your head, and we take these 2 lead wires, and we put them into your brain, and it gets down there, and you go, hey, you know what? We're going to shock this into rhythm. It's a pacemaker for your brain. And I'm thinking that didn't sound like a whole lot of fun either. Pacemaker for brain. But I'm thinking this affects around 7 to 10 million people in the U.S. So you'll see people that are shaking. You'll go, oh, are they nervous? Other times people say, oh, DTs, you're an alcoholic and you need a drink, and they think you're shaking for that reason. Same type of shaky stuff, but it's specifically a rhythmic shake, and it happens when you're using your hands to do something, right? Your small motor stuff, it goes away. Cutting food is scary. The other day I laid into my hand and I go, it was bad. I bled like a pig. And my wife goes, what are you doing? And I said, I was cutting bread with a bread knife, and it wasn't completely thawed out. I was trying to, and so when I pushed, it went and went across, my hand jerked and I went across my hand. I go, well, that's not good. So not only did I have to take care of the wound, I had to throw a slice of bread away. But on the backside of all this, I tell you, it affects your daily life. I can't read my own writing. A lot of times my wife will say, you never had good handwriting. It was so small and so squiggly. And I go, yeah, but I could always read it. I could always tell you what it says. Now I look back, even the stuff that I wrote yesterday, I'm looking at this notepad and I go, I don't know, Managona Beach, doing a little getaway, and I'm trying to figure out where to go, and there's some things that are kind of hidden gems around Port Aransas in Texas. So gonna head to the beach because of the prostate journey that I'm on, and the fact that I'm going to start radiation and all this other stuff, and my wife and I needed a brain break, so we're going to do a little getaway, short little 3-4 day vacay to the beach, because I need to get grounded and do that. But I was kind of at a loss as to what to do with my tremors, because a lot of times this will run in families. And it's a familiar essential tremor, meaning essential tremor just means there's a tremor for no reason. And it's like in the cerebellum in your brain, and that's where all the activity goes, and it goes up and it goes into webs, and those webs break, and there's a lot of communication. And what happens is that communication breaks down. With essential tremors, they said it's the stop-go mechanism in your brain that doesn't want to work. It doesn't say stop. And so you have a disruption. Some people have it in their heads, and they'll have a shake like this, or it'll be an up and down shake or whatever. Voice, and it scared the hell out of me, because I said, wait a minute, I use my voice, and at the time I did a lot, right, in radio. Now doing this, I don't want the shaky voice syndrome. You've heard that too when they're talking, and it starts doing this. And you go, wow, Steve, that sounded like whoever it sounded like. You know somebody like that. Well, that's it. It's essential tremors. Be nice to these people. You've seen them in restaurants, and they'll take their food, and they'll bring their fork to their mouth, and they'll miss, and they'll throw things around. You'll see them using weighted utensils they bring from home. There are coping mechanisms. You have to make sure that you're three-pointing on your stuff. Your elbow hits, your wrist hits, and then you're utilizing your fork. 2 points of contact. I said 3, I guess. If you have to hold yourself down, and it happens sometimes. They went to draw blood yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they go, turn your hand like this, and I go, my tremors are going to make that vein jumping all over the place. And they go, oh, and so they're holding it down. She's trying to jab me with one hand while she's holding, and I go, I don't know what to tell you. But 6 tries later, they finally hit the vein, and I was able to do the PET scan that I had. But to me, it's a very, very embarrassing inconvenience, and the family does a great job. One time we went to a buffet, and my wife stayed back to help one of the little people, and I went up with my daughter, and she starts taking off, and I'm getting my food, and I'm picking up pieces of chicken, and it's shaking to my plate, and people are looking at me all like, hey, you need a drink? I have some in my truck. And no, I don't need a drink. But you feel like everyone's watching you, even though they're not watching you. And when you think they're watching you, you start getting anxious, and you get nervous. And when you get anxious, nervous, cold, hot, all kinds of things, it affects the tremors, and it makes them worse, just like the cupcake story I told you, right? So you get there, and people are looking, and somebody will comment or whatever and go, oh, almost hit the plate. forget it. Go back to the table and get help. And I didn't have help at that point because everybody was helping other people. And I got back to the table and I told my wife, I go, I can't do that. And she goes, oh my, and she felt really bad. And I go, no. It's all good. We got everything taken care of. I'll get some food on my plate and we'll eat and we'll be good. But when you shake and you start thinking about it, it makes it worse. And then somebody comments, and like I said, all hell breaks loose. There are treatment options. The propranolol, primidone, gabapentin. They say to help with this, you reduce your stress, avoid caffeine, and use adaptive utensils. I talked about the weighted utensils. I have weighted pens. Check this out. In here, this is a weighted, it's got BB type things in it, little beads, and it's weighted, and I put it on my hand, and it helps write because it holds it down just a little bit more at the wrist. Anyhow, so you have adaptive utensils, and you have things that you're going to do. But then I mentioned DBS, and that is the most common for severe essential tremors, and you have to decide when you're going to do that. Heard when air touches the brain, it's never the same. I don't want to do this because they lay your scalp back, drill holes into your head, put these wires in there, get it all lined up with the imaging and shit when they do it, and then they test it, and you're kind of awake talking through this, and you're drawing those little diagrams that I talked about, trying to see if it's helping your tremor, and they get it in the exact spot, and they kind of put a plug in it, and this wire runs down through your neck, and they put like a pacemaker like that. It goes under your skin, and that's the battery pack to keep everything from firing the wrong way, right? So it helps your brain disrupt your natural signals so you don't shake. And they said, oh my gosh, it's life-altering, it's awesome, you need to do this. And I go, again, it's brain surgery, and I don't want to do that. Okay, I that seems way overboard for me. Focused ultrasound is another one that they do. It's a non-invasive, FDA-approved for tremors, where they use ultrasound, and they go into and they go boom, and they target that area. The thing is, they kill that area. They try to go, this is where it's causing the problem, and we're going to get that dot as small as we can get it, and then we're going to pop that area of your brain, and it dies. Now, tissue next to it shouldn't be affected, and I love this shouldn't be affected because, it's not their head, it's not their surgery. So they kill part of your brain, and so that's a one and done thing. It's a right side or left side. I don't think you can do both with that. You can with a DBS, but they do one side, then they come back and do the other, so it's another surgery, it's another implant, it's another, what are you talking about? So you just deal with shaking. Well, it affects work, it affects activities that you like. With drums, it really didn't do that because I work within that rhythm, and I can break it and syncopate it, and it goes, but that rhythm is there. And when you reach for a cup and you go get a drink and it does this, okay, that's just a typical Gutner. And I show you this to tell you this is what you have to deal with. And you get out in the public and you see me doing that, you're going to, what's wrong? Sometimes it's worse than others. You talk about it, you do a podcast about it, your brain's thinking about it, it's going to move to the forefront and probably be a little more whatever. But this is basically what I deal with on a daily basis. Right? I wake up with this and I go to bed with this. And it's not a whole lot of fun. When I talked about the weighted utensils and the writing aids, that's what big pins, those wrist weights, that type of thing. Support groups, they want you to get out there. I joined the Essential Tremors support group on Facebook, and a lot of the people that are doing that show videos and try to show, hey, this is that, this is what I'm trying, this is what so-and-so is trying, and so you get a lot of different information, but it's medications. If they don't help, they go, you have to do DBS, and if you do DBS, most of the time it works and it's fine, and there's other times that you can't. But there's all kinds of testing, psychological testing and all kinds of stuff, so they have a baseline. And I go, why do they need all of that? And I think it's in case something goes wrong, they can decide how much of it was caused by the surgery to do this, and they said, oh, it's not bad. If it doesn't work, you just remove it, and you're good to go. And I go, yeah, but look up DBS surgery images and look at some of the scars people are sporting on their head, and you're going to do that twice to get it done. I just think it's better to live with it. Now, does it affect your job? If it affects your job and you can't keep that job, you're going to have to figure out where you can go. Now you have that issue that you have to tell people about, because it's not like they're not going to know. And so then you go, oh wait, you have essential tremors and your writing and this and all this adaptive stuff you need. We're going to go a different direction, and a lot of times that's what's going to happen. They have clinical trials for non-invasive modulation and drug development. So they're coming out with new drugs. They're trying to figure out what's happening with this. One of the things they're experimenting with that has promising results is THC. And it helps because you relax your muscles and it will reduce muscle tension. It can help ease your tremors in some users. It reduces anxiety. Obviously, if people overindulge, they may be a little too paranoid, and there's a difference between anxiety and paranoia. Improve sleep, because sleep's important. I don't get a whole lot of sleep, and I don't know if it's tremor related, if it's cancer related, or it's just me. But 5 hours sleep, 6 hours, I'm ready. 5 or 6 hours is a good night of sleep for me. So there are inconsistent results with this. Part of the problem is they don't have the testing set up to do all of this. Now, on the support groups, they go, the only thing that helps me is the THC. And make sure that you're using an indica strain. Indica, remember indica, couch. You don't want a sativa, because that's going to speed up your brain a little bit. It has things, get up and go and get something done, and let's go have fun, and let's, turn on the black lights. Wait, that's indica. Turn on the black lights and listen to Pink Floyd. It's that mellow yourself out. That's what you would have to do in order to do this. Now, experimentation-wise, I have a video from 10 years ago where I'm holding a plate and I can't hold on to this silly thing, and it was time to eat, and I microdosed a gummy, and I'm a 16th of a gummy, and it wasn't even a high potency thing. A little 16th of a gummy, and you take it, and about 45 minutes later, my wife goes, hey, come here, do this. And she goes, she's videoing this for family, and going, it's gone. But here's the deal. There's a slippery slope that you run down with that. There's a slippery slope. You can drink alcohol. Like if you're going to go out to dinner and you don't want to be embarrassed, you can have a drink or two before you go. Or even, when you get there, have your second one, and it will calm your tremors down. Just understand there's a rebound the next day that is going to make the tremors worse than normal. It's kind of like a hangover for tremors, and the only way you can undo that hangover for tremors is drinking again. And so people become alcoholics when they have essential tremors, because they're trying to stop the shaking. Now, if you go with the natural plant, if you go with marijuana in some form, there's drops, there's gummies, there's vapes, there's all kinds of ways to do this if it's legal in your area. If not, you go and you say, I need a medical card, and a lot of the medical cards will help you with essential tremors. And according to the Facebook pages, people are doing it all over the place, but you have to have it legal in your state. You have to be able to be extremely careful, because if you have a job that tests, guess what? You don't have a result. I have one of those jobs. I can't use that as my medicine. What is really crazy and kind of pisses me off is that little tiny microdose of whatever. You're not getting high with that. You're not going to put on Pink Floyd and turn on the black lights. None of that's going to happen. It kicks it down a notch. And it's kind of like, oh, if you took one of those pharmaceutical pills that turned me into a zombie for 6 hours the first time I took it, but don't worry, you'll get used to it if you do minor doses and work up to that. Bullcrap. I'm not doing that. I am trying to deal with this. I don't want to do the alcohol route, so I'm dealing with what's happening to me. If you get a medical card to do that, you lose CDLs, you lose any of those things. If you have a job where you're required to do mandatory random testing, that job's gone, because even micro with the things. So what did Steve do? He found a CBD, right? This has, quote, according to the scripts or the bottle, it doesn't have any THC in it. It's straight CBD, and it is going to help with this. And does it help? Yeah. Okay, it does, but it's not as effective, and it's not regulated. In Texas, you have people selling this stuff at little fairs and stuff all around. It's CBD, and you take this, the pharmacy sells it. But that buildup in your system, is it going to show up on a test? It's possible. So there's no true way other than to go through big pharma and take scary ass convulsion pills. It doesn't help. Those pills turn you into zombies, and they make bad things happen to you. It can cause internal organ issues when you're taking this too long. So they're going to have to come up with something that is going to help people manage their essential tremors. Limited studies specifically on essential tremors is happening. Small studies and anecdotal reports suggest that cannabinoids, or THC and CBD, might help with movement disorders, especially Parkinson's tremors. And if you can stop that, you can stop essential tremors. The problem is the federal government is not allowing the testing that some states are doing under their, because remember, it's federally illegal still. Even though your state says it's legal, you're not going to get arrested for it, but on a federal level, you don't think they're going to bust you? Take it on a plane. Get stopped in a state that allows it and a state that doesn't, and you cross the border. If you get busted with it, you now have drug charges. And so something as simple as plant smoke or a gummy or a whatever can help people, but Big Pharma would rather have you take a synthetic pill. They go, oh, we have synthetic marijuana now. It's synthetic THC. You can take a pill. Why would you make something synthetic that is already beautiful in nature? It's a pretty plant. Okay, does it smell good when it burns? That's a matter of opinion with people. But I'm not asking the government to say, you can, you can't, this is how much, whatever. All I want them to do is do some more testing and realize that it is a medicinal drug. This plant is there to help people. And what does it help with? PTSD and with anxiety and with the gamut of things that it's going to do. Cancer patients with their, they're going through chemo. They need to eat. They're going to get the munchies, tear into a bag of Oreos and dip till their fingers hurt. It doesn't matter. You're letting people, let's think about this. I can take a couple shots of whiskey, a little Jameson followed by a Guinness, and I'll be good. The next day I shake like a son of a... But then you go, do you drink again? That's perfectly legal. To get yourself in a slump where you're going to become an alcoholic, as opposed to somebody that can use a plant for its uses. Been using it for centuries, and we've decided that it's a bad thing. Well, we've learned that other plants have helped us, and that makes medicine work. But why do you synthesize something that's already natural? That you're trying to reproduce something that's natural. You can already get it. You can control what's in it. When you get that gummy, you don't need a 16th. You just take the whole gummy because it's really low dose. They're microdosing with mushrooms. They're microdosing with LSD. They're trying to figure out how that helps your brain and open it up. And they're finding all these medical breakthroughs and things like, we knew something was going on, but now we just verified that. And there's a lot of loopholes to go through. My question is, do you want to do the pharmaceutical route? Do you want to drill holes in your brain? Do you want to have a pacemaker for your brain? Maybe even two, because you want both sides done. If you do that, you're going to have surgery to get those batteries replaced every 7 to 10 years or whatever they're up to now. I don't know. Thanks, Tesla. They've helped battery life get better. But maybe you could have it like a charger too, and you put your phone up there. And I don't know. There's got to be some way to charge them so you don't have to do that. You know, put pads on, plug yourself in. You do that number like Green Mile and you're all done. Literally, he was. But anyhow, Essential Tremors, it's an ugly thing, and this is something that I'm going to talk about as well. I live with it daily. My family lives with it daily. It's the medicines like Propanol. It blocks the adrenaline-like chemicals to reduce tremor intensity. Most effective for hand tremors, can lower blood pressure and heart rate. Not ideal for people with asthma, diabetes, or certain heart issues. Are you on blood pressure medicine? It can affect that. So the drugs that they're giving you are going to have to require other drugs to help you fix problems that you were already trying to fix with other medications, but they don't shake hands, they don't play well together. And so if they're going to be beating each other up on the playground, I don't want to be in the middle of all this. I don't want to have to do that. I've seen people where they take a handful of pills in the morning, at noon they take a smaller handful, and at night they take even more. Then a couple before bed so they can sleep. It's ridiculous. I don't understand, when you start looking at all of them, wait, I'm taking this because of the side effects of this. Is there something else like this that I can take well, yeah, but it has different side effects. What if it doesn't cause this? Well, we can try it. So you stop this one, and then you try a different one. Well, you don't have this one helping out, but it could affect all the other. Let's see how we can make this to where it doesn't affect everyone's daily life, because it's plant smoke and people are going to jail and people are losing their jobs for it. They're losing their family over something that can be replaced with a pharmaceutical drug or 12. So I don't understand why they can't do this and help people, because it's been proven now, and the more states that are accepting this and the more states that are allowing all the testing and stuff, it's going to come down to, does the government make more money off of, or the people in government, do they make more money off of the pharmaceutical companies, or the people on the backside that go, let's go with a natural remedy? Indians used it, not only for medicine, but they also used it in ceremonial peace pipe stuff. Because you know what they got when they smoked it? Peace. Yeah. They weren't the guys in the bar beating each other up. No. They were kicking back wherever they were kicking back, making things happen. But boys and girls, the telephone is ringing. It's not my mother on the phone, but I do need to move on with my day. Thought I'd pop in. Essential Tremors, take 1. We're going to dig into this and we're going to talk more about it. So until next time, this is HCRD Online. You guys like and share us with everyone you know. And you guys, be good.